Well, you can understand how lucky I am to live that sort of moments that are usually very intimate, and especially in a studio where they are recording with all those mics everywhere. That's why there couldn't really be a crew. And so the first thing you do is just take your shoes off and try to be as discreet as you can. Really, I think the first thing, the cinema is the first thing was, I couldn't imagine to be in the middle of them with the camera. How could I be in the middle of those four musicians? And that's how came this reflex to think caméra de surveillance, surveillance camera, something like that. So because the camera I use, as you can see, are very small, it's just a Panasonic GH5, GH5, and I could put it on a sound stand. I didn't even need a camera stand. That takes a lot, a tripod. It doesn't, it's very small. So I thought, okay, I will put there and leave, and something will happen. And the day before I went to Hilversum, south of Amsterdam, that's where they recorded, I don't know, I just rented a second camera, the same one, I have two lenses, and so and saying it's stupid, I'm alone, two cameras, but who knows? And I could put the second camera also on a stand. I started like that, just like afraid of making noise and disturbing them in this vibration that there is. And then you're part of the thing.
Yes.
You know?
And then what's beautiful is that we feel you are searching for the right way to film it, in the same time that they are searching for the sound, for their sound.
Yeah.
So it's, maybe it's when you felt that they were all searching together, something that you could join them in searching a film.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes, it's true. And their humor, and their welcoming. We knew each other already. I had seen the Emerson String Quartet with Barbara during concerts. They have done a lot of concerts together, but never recorded a CD. And you're right. And I remember especially how to have the 4 or the 5 in the same frame without all the stands, les poteaux des micros, the mics. Mm-hmm. It was a forest of, and there was always on one face, then you find, and then I took it handhold and could
to play with it,
approach.
to play with this forest of mics.
Yeah.
And, even not to build your shots, but it's something which is there and you have to do with it.
And of course there was this double movement of playing and going to listen, to go. I was very, very surprised, always Guido, that he doesn't want to see. So this abstraction of him, like Barbara says at one moment, the voice of God, And because they have their age, the tuning, the intonation is so fragile, and it's a lot of confidence to give to somebody. Une confiance à donner à quelqu'un d'autre to give to somebody else. There is, of course, the younger one, Paul Watson, who is the cello player, the Welsh guy. They were supposed to finish, to end 10 years ago. when the cello player left, and it's really Paul who gave those 10 other years to this group.
And so you say you shoot with 2 cameras. You are absolutely alone. You have no assistant. So
No.
it's yourself moving the cameras while they are playing, or in between. Maybe not while they are playing.
No.
Explain that. How did you decide to move the cameras? Because the film is made with many different angles.
No.
There are not only 2 angles or 3, 4 angles.
Yeah,
it's
it
very
looks very rich.
very,
It's like if
rich.
there was 10 cameras. Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Well, there was the red light. So when the red light was off, I knew he wasn't recording, so I could move. I would use that time. And then, of course, you can imagine that they rehearsed and played it several times, more than you see in the films. So that means that we could then, at the editing, change those angles on, let's say, 2 takes or 3 takes that they're making, but in fact they did 15. And then you edit and you find, and
I think you also moved the cameras according to the music, because it's something you told us that you yourself, you know the scores.
Yeah, I had worked the scores, yeah.
You had read them before?
I read music, and Barbara had explained me the piece. I'm talking about the Schoenberg, the first piece, the Quatuor number 2, where there's 2 movements, the 3rd and the 4th, where there's a soprano. The Indemit, no, because that's something that really I find very moving, how they fall in love with this music that she never played, that they never played, and they're
discovering it.
Yeah, they're reading the music, and wow, they're discovering those pieces of Hindemith, who are those pieces that he wrote very young. And Hindemith is a composer that it was never at the right time. He was too modern, and then he was supposed to be too classic. So it's never trendy Hindemith. And that's why I wanted those words with Svetlana. Svetlana Weinblatt is the editor. She is a former pianist. She reads music, of course. She edits the last films of Bruno Mont-Saint-Jean, who's an incredible documentary on music. He was himself a violinist. He did those incredible films on Glenn Gould, for example, or Richter. And yes, with Svetlana, we thought that those words could...
So you said you could prepare the recording of the Schoenberg piece? In advance a bit?
Yeah.
Which was nice because it was the first one, so you could maybe prepare a bit your filming in advance.
Yeah. I could... yes. And also because I had done 2 or 3 films with Barbara Hannigan already, my fright was that I was only going to film Barbara, of course, because she's a magnet. And so I remember at the beginning I said, no, I don't film Barbara, it's on the Emerson Quartet. She asked me to film the Emerson Quartet, so I'm not going to film Barbara. And then I found a balance with Barbara, especially with the humor, how those old men are happy to have this woman with them, how they play on that, how they... I remember one moment that is very strong, that's why with Svetlana we thought it had to be in the film, where the first violin, he says to her, everything is shit. It's not good. It's not good. The honesty to say that.
And even her, she's not good.
Yeah, I say you're never false, and I don't know, there's something, because we're not giving you the right notes. But how that's very strong, because it's a taboo in music. You never say to a singer that it's maybe false. And that's why there's the paranoia often of singers, because they're so alone, because nobody will tell them. And if you really love somebody, you have to tell them. They only wait for that, but nobody will tell you. And there's a sort of friendship, a sort of admiration, a sort of group.
We feel that she's surprised that he tells her. She's surprised. Maybe
well,
it didn't happen so many times in her career.
Yeah. She usually works only with that sort of people, but she's never going to lose time being with people who don't have humor, who are not full of life and appetite, and let's say she's surprised because she didn't hear it. Mm-hmm. Not she's surprised, how can you dare to tell me that? No, it's just, But as he says, it's because we're giving the wrong notes. There's something wrong. And it's their anguish too, because they're old. No, really. That's the importance of Guido and the sweetness of Guido that they have never worked with. The situation is, as it's said in the film, Guido and Barbara know each other since always. Barbara always records her records with Guido. So it's Barbara who brought this sound engineer. I mean, he better be. And this contact is very, very important. And then, yes, it's true that for the sound, the fact that there was those voices coming from somewhere, I had put a mic in the recording room all the time, so we had also that sound, and yeah, and then what is also, it's not in the film, but the reality is that Barbara was sick the first day. That's why she has all those things. They don't even know if they're going to do the recording. That's what they live with, you know. That's why she goes in here, and then you feel that that's why at the end she says, I just want to do it all again. Because in the 3 days, it's sort of...
But then it's a film of, maybe we can talk about the editing, because the choice to give so much place and space in the film to jokes and to humor is a deliberate choice. The film is almost made of two materials, jokes and music.
But that
in
was,
a way.
Cyril, I didn't
you could have
take out anything. That's how they work.
You could have chosen to take it out. But I don't know, the balance you found in the editing, in the narration of the film, it's like a constant movement from one to the other.
Yes.
Work, jokes.
Yes. There's a lot. We had to find. It's jokes that were each time with Svetlana. I remember were they telling something, and you know when they just add like that. Do you need something? And they said, well, the Young Emerson Quartet. We need the Young Emerson Quartet. That would be nice. I mean, it's so moving. It's so strong. So, or the sexual jokes with Barbara, those things, what it tells, there was the jokes each time were, this thing also, the fight, you know, there's something, says, where's the talent, you know? What it is to be a woman, how it is to work with men, how Barbara knows how to deal with those sort of things. You have to be strong. And so I tells things.
Yeah, to have in the film this level of the level of basic life. I mean, what's happening between these people during 3 days in such a tense and tense condition.
Yes.
So humor, you
and
say,
they had each one their personality. They have their function in the group. Of course, Paul is there to. He takes care of the intonation, the young guy, and the three of them. There's the Jewish, always inquiet. Comment on dit inquiet?
Unquiet.
Yeah, worried. You know, saying, "Do you think it's good? No, maybe you have to do it again." There's the three of them. There's the one, the viola player. Larry, he takes care of the money in the group. He's the trésorier, you know. So there's this thing, the guy, you know, who tells the story about his mother, and so they have three. They have. It was that also with Svetlana. After a moment, was to have a group and to have, in a way, portraits. Also. And
to have the comedy between these four characters.
Yes, and with that music, of course. And when Bertrand Chamaillou, the French pianist, arrives, I mean, he heard that music. They are so mythical, this quatuor. So how is he going to find his space? Yes, and he finds his space because with their humor and the humor of Barbara, that is just incredible.
And what is beautiful too is that it's maybe, I don't know if it's something you try to build as a narrative tension in the film, because chamber music is about listening to each other, and sometimes they say, I can't hear you, and sometimes you play music and you can't hear the other ones. Yeah. But plus that, there are people who start losing their ear.
Yes.
A bit because of age, and that's the reason why they will stop.
Yes.
I feel, I saw the film again, it's something we feel even stronger. I mean, the more the film goes, the more we are attentive to this issue of listening to each other and to the.
And when you record, you are very far from each other, more far than usual when you play on stage, and that's why with Svetlana and the sound editor and the mix, Olivier Guanard, there is one moment we really almost took exactly what they hear. You know, at one moment you don't even hear Barbara singing. That's really what they hear. That's reality. So we mixed it like that, you know, and it stops to say, and he says, I can't hear. Do you hear her? No, I don't hear her. That's exactly what they have to play with.
And this moment you have to give us the true feeling of this.
That's why we played with the mix.
Yeah, that's interesting. The issue of mixing, because you're a sound engineer yourself. You're not Guido, but you're doing a work which has something to do with what he does. But you are making a film, so I guess mixing, sometimes you want to give us the feeling that you had or that they had while playing, but sometimes you want to give us the music.
Yeah.
Too, no?
Yes.
And it's not the same mix and the same.
No, but I was so lucky, you know. Guido is a friend, so he. There was one track that was never stopping, just for me. I had my 4 mics, let's say, that I would change during the dialogues or things like that. That was, let's say, documentary sound. But I knew that Guido, there was that track where you couldn't separate the violin from the cello. But then he gave us the whole thing, the 72 mics that he needs for the record. So you see how rich we were. So yes, with Olivier Guanard, it was that. When is it documentary, and when can we dive in the growth, the amplitude of their music? And we could, because we had the sound for that. That
it's interesting because
never happens.
There is this moment when they search very hard for the right way to play this slow movement of In the Meat, you know, this misty, play misty for me. And it's in, I don't know, me, I can't read music, and I'm discovering this music at the same time.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I feel that the way you edited it and the way you mixed it is it's almost pedagogical.
Yes.
So that we can follow their search and feel the moment when they found it.
That's funny you say that. Yeah, that was a big movement with Svetlana. The first thing you do is look at all the images of the two cameras. Okay, and then you let's say we're doing a poem, you know. So you edit like if it was a poem, and then comes but there I don't understand. We don't understand, and we need so that we can share. In fact. Let's see exactly what they're working on. And that's where Svetlana and or I would call Barbara. What was the problem exactly? There, I don't see what exactly you were searching. And then we would find a word, a thing, you know. Or for instance, when they are working without Barbara, the second morning, only on the second movement, that is the hardest. That's why I put Tom et Jerry, because, in fact, oh merde, j'ai oublié son nom, Scott, the musician, this composer of all the
cartoons, Tex Avery cartoons.
Yeah, was a student of Schoenberg. And he loved to put some Schoenberg sometimes. And that's what he does in that moment. And it's true, when you hear that movement, it's really, as he say, it's like a cartoon of the 40s. So that people sort of get it, that's why we put things like that. And and try not to film too much, only the hands, but try to film bodies. And then I could see, and then arrived the fact that there could be something with the split screen.
Yes.
That happened during the editing. I didn't think of that while I was shooting, and especially in that second movement when we could put the four of them like this. That was a good surprise. It wasn't supposed. I didn't really, or maybe I did. I don't know, but.
You need the split screen to have us see them listening to each other.
Yes. No, that really. I'm happy I took two cameras, and that's why it was nice to see this guy sometimes going in the frame and. Because I had to empty the cards also in the same time, you know. I was doing everything, but I like this dance. I like this physical dance while you shoot. And I don't know, maybe you have questions,
yes.
You know, or not.
Comments.
Yeah. Can you say something about the slight out of focus? Occasionally there's focus and not focus. Like a texture.
I have only two lenses. One lens is, let's say, a 35. The other one is a 50. So yes, when you film with the 50, you don't have a lot of. So I had to choose focus. So there's changes, like at the end when Barbara. Well, there's. But with the other one, I tried as much as I could with the 35 that it would be. Yeah, it's true that between the 50 and the 35, because I only have those two lenses, when there's a split screen. No, it's. But I try to see which moment. Yes. No, there I know that, for instance, there's a. Sometimes I couldn't. I had to choose one of.
But you use it to isolate sometimes.
Yes,
I guess in the editing, not while shooting, because while shooting you didn't choose. You had 150, 135. Oh my God, I should have had a 35 here. You couldn't.
Yeah.
But while editing, I guess you chose this.
Or I would then switch,
Yeah.
And for another take and put it on. You're always thing that was like we put and.
Yeah. Did you improve one day after the other?
Yeah. You do improve. It's really like gymnastic. You're more. Yes, you do.
In the choice of.
Yes.
Criticism.
Yes. I film all the time. My life. I live with two friends in an apartment. We share an apartment for 4 years now. There's always things happening.
And you film all the time?
At one moment, there's things that are really magical. Yes. And I practice.
No, but it's important. You are used to film alone.
I practice a lot. I do sometimes things like, for the focus, the most difficult is to change the light and the focus in the same time, and so it's nice. It's like a magician that work their fingers. You just try to. And so at home sometimes I just do this to see if I just to be prepared, like an athlete. But sometimes with Svetlana, when you see the rushes, you're very, very angry against the cameraman. Yeah, but I'm happy this film exists. And there is, I forgot his name, a man, a filmmaker, followed the Emerson for a long time, for the whole Adieu tour. And I think it's going to be beautiful, his film. And what is nice is he was there when for the last concert, when the film was shown. So I know he filmed the film. Them watching the film. Yeah.
First of all, congratulations. It was enormously engaging. And I must say, I thought Barbara Hannigan was just beautiful.
Yes.
What I'm interested to know is the choice of music in Schoenberg and Hindemith. Because, if I can put it this way, they're two composers who appeal to a narrow audience, I think it's fair to say. Was there a deliberateness in your choice of the music?
So I didn't choose the music at all. It's their program for a record the CD that you can find. It's called Infinite Voyage, and they built their program with Barbara. At the beginning, I think this record is Barbara inviting the Emersons for Alpha. Alpha is the label. And then, yeah, they had played often Le Schoenberg together on stage. And the Hindemith, oh, I know where it comes from. Barbara lost her Yoda, you know, a man called Reinbert Deleu, who was an amazing pianist from Holland, and also a conductor. He conducted, he was a friend with Ligeti, with Dutilleux, with Boulez, with all that. And Barbara, all her learning, she studied, she's from Canada, from Nova Scotia, but she arrived very early in Holland. And that's where she learned music after. And this man, Reinbert, and it's Reinbert who told her about Hindemith's piece. So often she would go and see Reinbert and talk about programming. What could it be? There's there's a guy called Tom, I forgot his name, who was in charge of the Cleveland Orchestra for years, supposed to be one of the best orchestras, and Reinbert. So the Hindemith comes from Reinbert.
And Chausson?
And Chausson, she had met Bertrand. Now they're doing a big tour. I don't know if they're coming in London with Mission. They recorded Mission together. They're in Canada right now. I don't know. I didn't really. Yeah, the record. There's also the Quatuor of Berg, the only Quatuor that Berg wrote, with no soprano in the record. There's those 4 things: Schoenberg, Berg, Hindemith, and Chausson. I think maybe she wanted to sing it. I don't know.
French touch.
Yeah, maybe. But
yeah, the question. So. It's in the film. You know, you can't help it.
Okay. Thank you for a great film. Thanks for coming to London. I was wondering what the impact was of the camera on the musicians, and whether, because they seem so natural, they don't look at the camera. I was wondering if they are really like this in real life. They seem to be. Barbara is different. She's more of a performer, an actress. She, even on this image, she looks at you, so it's different. So I was wondering what you think about that.
I wasn't behind the cameras. The cameras, as you see, are. Do we see it there? No, but you see, it's nothing. I'm not there. That was one of the things. I would put it and then go. Sometimes that's what we put this joke where Barbara is, where is Mathieu? And well, he quit. We don't obey his orders or something. It jokes. Yeah, I wasn't there. I went to smoke outside. And then I discovered that at the editing, you know, one moment you just, and that is a very special moment. That is really the end, and she's very moved, and I remember, and we're in love, you know. So it's like, and then I tell her, do it again, because I didn't have the focus on you. So she does it again for the focus. But it's, yeah, they are also comedians, a lot. They have to be between them, but yeah, no, I'm a friend. They like me a lot. No, they're really like that. They're exactly like that.
When you said they have to be comedians, I mean,
Yeah.
if there wasn't not you, but not the cameras, like a regular recording session, they would act the same way.
Yeah. There has to be a good spirit. What is absolutely marvelous with musicians of that level, I mean, they're the best in the world, you know, how they lift. No complain, no, I don't feel it, no. Well, there's a bit, Eugene plays that part, but that's why at one moment, I get this moment where Barbara said, he said, maybe we can do it again. No, it's fine, it's fine. And the others are like, okay, they know him, so he has to say, oh, maybe this, and maybe at that moment, I don't know, but he can fix it. Okay. Everything will be okay, don't worry. And, but they have humor, yeah, even when they're like an old couple, and the guy, he says, don't remember the sentence, but it's so great, I wanted to write it down. He says, I know what you're going to say. God, you know, this thing, it's exactly like in a couple. Oh my God. Okay. Can't you just pretend that you don't know what I'm going to say so that I can say what I want to say? I find it so cute, but no, they're like that. Where are you?
It's a wonderful experience watching this film. You said it was made to be shown only once, and now we have this privilege of seeing it again.
Well,
is that it? Does it vanish now?
Well, I don't know. It's also maybe a moment of my life that started maybe 5 years ago when I started to stop acting. I stopped acting and really wanted to put everything down. That's why I live in Coloc, you know. I don't even need to earn a lot of money. It's all a huge movement like that, and also so with the economy of cinema, that I have just want to puke, you know, sometimes, and it's too expensive. It's how come, and I think it participates to that. All the John Zorn's films during 12 years, those films that are shown only once during 2 sets of musicians, and I felt so free and at the right place, and I could decide of the salary because in documentaries the editors are less paid than in fiction, and it's the world, c'est le monde à l'envers, because editing in documentaries is creation, is writing. So I could decide that of the salary of Svetlana or of Caroline de Tournai and pay them more. Things like that. I don't know. It was like... And then, yes, we were... each film, the Zorns, the things were... We knew exactly when they would be screened, in what occasion, in front of which public. So it was done for that. And it's true, that's why it's very, very moving for me that a French distributor had this idea to show the Zorns in the cinema.
Maybe you can tell people what are the Zorn films. It's something you... I mean, this film, in a way, it's in this movement of which you...
John Zorn is first. He was started as a sax player. He's 71 now. He's a New Yorker, and he explored absolutely all the music in the world. No rules, just everything. It goes from jazz, noise, klezmer, andalou, string quartet. I mean, everything. John Zorn never stops, and I had the chance to film him. Became friend, and so I film him, and we do those films that are in his marathon program. Usually he has maybe 40 musicians, 15 different sort of groups, and one day he said, well, what about a film? What about a film between two sets of musicians? Because I was filming him since 6 years already. It was supposed to be for television, and I never sent the...
Contract?
Not the contract, but you have to do a dossier to have the finance, and they accept or they don't accept. I never sent it. But we had this habit of continuing to film. And after 6 years, in 2016, I started in 2010, said, what do you do with the images? I said, well, and there I said, oh, shit, where did I put them? You know, even I did lose a lot of images on those hard drives. And that's where he had the idea. What about next year? I'm at the FIDMarseille 2017. There could be a film. And I called Caroline, and we start to imagine something that we knew would be shown during 2 sets. And then we didn't want to stop, so we put to be continued. And then there was a second film in Lisbon. And then, again, to be continued, there was a third film in 2022 in Hamburg. And the 3 films with Caroline is not to do the same film. They're very different, the 3 films.
And the third one,
and the third one
is a bit like this one.
Yes.
It's a film about
one score.
One score, and the most difficult one, something which musicians think they will never make it.
Yeah.
And you document how they make it finally. And it's only Barbara and the pianist. It's
and Stephen Gosling. Stephen Gosling already worked with John Zorn a lot, and but Barbara never worked with John. They admire each other, and Barbara is somebody who always took risks and did incredible. She did maybe 85 or I don't know creations. You know, I mean, it's. But there, it's like. Yeah, it's almost, there's a story in the third one. It's like Rocky, you know. You don't know if she's gonna make it. And so that film is very different from the second. So yes, there is those films that brought me this sort of huge. It's more than pleasure. I was at my place. I don't know. Like I found my place. You know, and then that's also the spirit of your festival, you know, of the feed. I don't know, all those people who do those films. At that moment, I discovered David Perloff that I didn't know. It's a man who filmed. He did fiction films and documentaries, and then at one moment of his life, he was disgusted by cinema. He stopped everything. He liked to continue to teach, and then he started everything again. He just bought a 16mm camera. It was in '73, and he starts everything again. And he just, my first shot, and he films a window. My second shot, and then he goes in and he says, and you see his twin daughters and his wife, and it's a diary. It's called Diary. And it was produced by the BBC then, from 73 to 83 alone. How to find again the love of cinema. And now I'm in love with fiction again. I'm writing a fiction. I'm going back to fiction. I'm so happy about that it came back. I wasn't sure, because after filming people like that, everything you fabricate seems really not as strong. But I'm going back to fiction. So.
But it's not a reason not to show this film. To answer
No, but that what is very moving. So is this French distributor who decides that the Zorn can be shared, and he was right. They continue to be shown. They were shown Sunday. They were shown in Switzerland, Chaux-de-Fonds, and in Lorient. It's shown every week. They're shown somewhere, and in front of people who never heard about John Zorn, and it's not a problem. And people are so happy to see, because there's no interviews, because the films were shown in front of a public who knows more than me about John Zorn. So I wasn't going to explain anything. So nothing is explained. And people were just so happy to say, it's nice that we don't explain, to see a film where we're free just to. And that's why I'm so moved that Cyril wanted to show it to the FID, and that with l'Institut Français they comes here.
To be continued.
To be continued before it's too late. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to say that I also appreciated your humor, especially in the way you presented the star entrance of Barbara Hannigan with the shot of the food. I thought it was purely beautiful detail, very suspenseful as well. But I wanted to ask you precisely what you just last said about being a fiction director, or a very experienced director of fictions. How do you see your role kind of as a non-expert in the highly technical music and the highly technical art, or not as much as an expert as Barbara Hannigan? Do you feel like, what's your role, and is there conflict coming, like you're looking for something, a particular dramatic shape to your film, and maybe Hannigan will be saying, no, this is not what matters here? Is there conflict there? Is there how you position yourself? Yeah.
I think I never was lacking action or a conflict or hoping that something will happen. No, I was interested. Everything is interesting in life, in fact. No, it's true. And I'm in love, and I'm in love with them also, in a way, another way. But yes, I'm afraid that I'm not good enough on the music, yes. On the show,
That's why you edit with someone who knows music. It's very important. Not to betray and that you know it too. It's important.
Yeah, but on the set, when it happens, where you have the feeling, I'm not at the right place, or shit, I forgot that moment. What is it? What are they doing? But then you have the confidence of the surveillance camera. That's why I was never cutting, and that was good.
And at the same time, the film is not only about music. You allow yourself to make a film which embraces much wider scope and wider range of live material than only music and the recording. And you dare in editing. When you desynchronize the image and the sound, you dare to do many things in which music becomes almost like the classical film music, music for a film. Music for a film which is not about music. The music
it's true.
They are making becomes a score.
It's their breathing. Their music, this music is always in them. What is strange is that, for instance, of course I thought, no, they're eating pizza, of course I'm not going to film them. Of course, I'm going to eat my pizza, and that's all. And you do it. Or in the hotel, of course I'm not going to film tonight. I'm so tired. The back is like, I want to eat. And no, you do it. You film. And it's true that then we were happy with Svetlana to have also those moments. But I had decided to be very Bresson, only the studio, that's all, only music, nothing of there. For example, I didn't film them, that's true, the first day I didn't film them arriving in the hotel, or things like that. I didn't want things like that, but, well. And Barbara working for the next day in her room, and yeah.
We'll take a last question, and then we'll have to stop.
Well, yeah, because there's des prochains after.
Thank you. I know you have definitely have a lot of footage to go through in post-production, and I'm wondering because it's a pure observational documentary. So you're definitely trying to like get a structure through the whole film. So what is something that you were thinking in post-production that it's a shame I didn't get that part. If we have that part, or like a small detail, the film can have like a more sophisticated structure or something like that. Is there something that you maybe regret not filming or missed?
When you are in an editing room, you have a moment where you just scream or bang your head against all the time, but it has to go quick because you can only edit with what is there. So that's life, huh? That's all. But especially for the things where sometimes it's out of focus or not really right, because I hadn't put the focus, because they had changed places, and because it's a surveillance camera, I wasn't at the right. But no, the first thing was very simple. It's always like that. You say to Svetlana, we're not going to do day 1, day 2, day 3, of course. No, we're poets, that's what I say. So you try something on impressions, on things, gestures. At one moment, I remember I said to Svetlana at the beginning of editing, what about if we do a film? It would have been shorter, but it would have been, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes of film where there would have been no music. Only just before, just after, or speak, or thing, or just, you know. And very quickly, when it becomes that's what's, ideas is always the enemy, you know? That's what's great. Ideas kills themselves, and so you go into life and into what's happening in the image, and then the pedagogy. We could sometimes cheat on the order, but we didn't cheat on the days. I think we didn't even cheat in the order, but yeah. And then very simply, just try to, yeah.
Thanks very much, Mathieu, for the film, for your generosity. Thanks to you. Thanks to you all.